From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Millicent Walker.
Good evening and welcome. Tonight, at least 11 security personnel killed in an ambush on Governor Babagana Zulum's convoy, the second of such attack on the Borno State governor's team in about 3 months. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu says Commission is ready for the conduct of Ondo governorship election, vows to make it better than the just concluded governorship poll in Ondo State. Federal government appeals to organized labor to shelve its plan for an industrial action on Monday, insists action will hurt ordinary Nigerians. And the Spanish government calls for tougher coronavirus restrictions in the city of Madrid, warning of a serious risk to residents. Plus, you'll see business and sports.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's local bourse pulls best weekly performance in 4 months as all-share index passes 26,000 points since March this year.
And on sports news tonight, Manny Pacquiao confirms January 2021 fight with Conor McGregor in the boxing ring in the Middle East.
Security in the northeast takes the center stage tonight with the convoy of the Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum coming under attack by suspected Boko Haram terrorists for a second time, just as the military announces the killing of some terrorists there. The police say 11 security personnel were killed in the attack, which occurred at about 12 p.m. yesterday, but it is reported that the number of casualties may have doubled. The first attack on Governor Zulum's convoy was in July, when the governor was forced to cut short his trip to the area. In a statement, the police say 8 policemen and 3 members of the Civilian Joint Task Force lost their lives in the ambush, while 13 other persons sustained injuries. According to them, the convoy was attacked while heading to Baga as part of the government's effort to relocate indigents of the town to their ancestral home, but were intercepted by armed men a few kilometers from a community called Cross Kawa. It reported that some soldiers also lost their lives, but the army is yet to confirm this. This attack comes days after an army officer, Colonel D.C. Bako, was killed following another ambush by Boko Haram terrorists. Meanwhile, the governor of Borno State has been reacting to yesterday's attack on his convoy near Cross Kawa, describing it as unfortunate, but vowing that it will not stop his administration from resettling the people of Baga in their land. According to the governor, who had earlier yesterday arrived in the town before the attack, he explained in a statement that all the internally displaced persons from Baga who are willing to go back to their ancestral home will be returned in a dignified manner. Accompanied by heavily armed security operatives, Governor Zulum undertook an assessment of the ongoing construction work in the town, alongside some federal lawmakers and their counterparts from the state. They also joined in the Jumat prayers. He commended the Resettlement Committee for the quality and speed of work, saying so far the government has achieved minimum threshold for the resettlement under the Phase 1 of the relocation exercise. The president has also been reacting to the ambush on Governor Zulum's convoy, which led to the death of security men and some operatives of the civilian JTF. In a statement, President Muhammadu Buhari describes the attack as an orchestrated sabotage against long-planned return of displaced persons to their local communities. According to President Buhari, the government of Borno State, working with security and intelligence agencies, should remain firm in their determination to restore normalcy to all communities liberated from Boko Haram terrorists. The president commends the gallantry of service personnel who repelled the deadly ambush, as well as the determination of the governor of Borno State, who has been working with the armed forces to end the menace of terrorists, rebuild homes, and return the IDPs to regular life. In the meantime, the military says the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole has inflicted what it describes as a massive destruction of Boko Haram terrorist camps by neutralizing scores of their fighters in a night and daytime attack at Tongule on September the 24th and 25th of September 2020. The Coordinator Defense Media Operations, Major General John INEC, explains in a statement that the strike on Tongule was undertaken after surveillance missions revealed continued assembly of the terrorists within the settlement at night time. According to him, another attack was launched on Bone, which is a settlement along the Yale-Kumshe axis, by NAF fighter jets and helicopter gunships after credible intelligence reports established that the location served as a staging area for the terrorists. He adds that the NAF attack aircraft engaged the location in multiple bomb and rocket runs, destroying several of their structures, neutralizing scores of terrorists. Major General INEC also says several terrorists were taken out during another raid on insurgents' hideout by NAF attack aircraft at Isari Musa area in Borno State. And to politics now, where in Ondo State, the campaigns ahead of the October governorship election appear to be in full gear. For the All Progressives Congress candidates, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, taking the state from a civil service economy to an industrial one will translate to prosperity for every resident, particularly the youth. He was sharing some of his plans during a campaign tour of Akure North local government area of the state.
Farmers across Ondo State have a date with Governor Rotimi Akeredolu. They set aside other engagements and gather here to show appreciation to the governor for his support in the area of agriculture. Some narrate their experiences to show the impact of his intervention.
We have had rest for more than 3 years now. That is since Governor Akeredolu came.
The governor is touched by this gesture and appreciates the promise of support. It's quite a busy day for Governor Akeredolu, who has many events lined up as he continues his campaign for re-election. He leaves the farmers for another meeting with members of the Ondo State Coalition 2020, eagerly waiting to officially adopt him as their governorship candidate.
Ondo State under this man will become a signature and a place of pride.
The governor considers the adoption an honor and uses the occasion to reel out some of his programs for the state.
What we did at Ondo Linyi Industrial Hub is just a bite of our plan. Denki Construction Company has started work at Ore Industrial Hub. From there, we're moving to Ondo Gwanju, which is nearer to Ilaje. They're waiting for our seaport, which we name Ondo Seaport, to take off.
He then heads to Akure North local government area for a campaign rally, which turns into a carnival. Governor Akeredolu takes the lead, walking with supporters for over 1 kilometer as he gets set for a meeting with traditional rulers. He attributes his strength to do all of this to the support he gets from his people. As the race for the governorship seat continues, Governor Akeredolu marvels at the enthusiasm from supporters on a daily basis, which he says forms a solid backing for victory at the polls.
Meanwhile, the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Itayo Jegede, appears confident of taking the state's economy to greater heights. To achieve this, he has promised to resuscitate abandoned industries and create new ones. Mr. Jegede said this in Ore Odigbo local government area of the state during the second leg of his campaign tour of the area.
The campaign for the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party for the October 2020 election is still underway in one of the biggest local government areas of the state. on a tour of towns and villages as it seeks to reach as many people as possible. In all the places visited, the team is received with excitement. Residents and supporters of the PDP pledge their loyalty for Yitayo Jegede, saying the transformation they desire will come to pass if he wins.
I go vote for him. That one na sure I be PDP, I go vote for him. I don't have anybody to vote now, I go vote for. So if I vote for him, so far as I vote for him, he go win. But if he win, may he not forget.
In Ore, the candidates make a stop at the Hausa community, where he is received by the Sediki and a large number of the residents. Night falls, but even that doesn't stop the movement. Yitayo Jegede promises the people of an enabling environment for their businesses to thrive. More supporters show up for the PDP and its governorship candidate. Support for the candidate, they say, will be the driving force for more achievements, especially in terms of infrastructure development.
All ethnic groups combined here. This is a mini Lagos. We're going to work for this state, we're going to work for this town, and God will help us. We have told them farmers will benefit, traders will also benefit, and there will be light here by God's grace. We will do everything possible legally within our power to bring light to Ore and other parts of the southern zone of the state.
The people of Odigbo local government have shown their love for Yitayo Jegede by trooping out to welcome him throughout the campaign. They also say the same love and acceptance will be shown to him at the polls come October the 10th.
And the electoral umpire appears to be in top gear for the Ondo elections as the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, says all is set for the conduct of the October the 10th poll. According to him, INEC wants to make Ondo election better than the just concluded governorship election in Ondo State. Professor Mahmood stated this after undergoing a tour of INEC offices in the state to assess the level of preparedness for the governorship election.
The purpose of the visit, as I keep saying, is for us to assess the practical level of readiness of our local government offices. There was a briefing by the EO, and we are satisfied so far with the arrangement. The EO in charge of the local government has confirmed that he has received all the non-sensitive materials and he has organized them. We call it batching. He has organized them by RAs and by polling units. We have the voting cubicles, and they have just demonstrated the setting up of the voting cubicles. We saw the ballot boxes. We saw the materials in the bags all ready to go. We saw the sleeping mats to be deployed to the rack centers where the ad hoc staff will stay overnight. We are overall very happy with this level of preparation. What we intend to do is to make Ondo better than Edo. And the best way to ensure that this is achieved is by undertaking this kind of visit to see practically what we have on the ground, so to say. And we are satisfied with what we have seen so far.
And with about 3 years to the next general elections in the country, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, says it is putting its house in order to present a common front for the poll. In this regard, the party's Reconciliation Committee has visited former military President General Ibrahim Babangida in Minna, the Niger State capital. The chairman of the committee and governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, who led other members of the team to the meeting, said the party is reviewing the issues that led to the party's failure.
We are here with our leaders to see our leader, the leader of the nation, former President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, who is always a delight to meet. We came on National Working Committee assignment to look at the problems and challenges of PDP generally and how we can maximize our fortunes, how we can move forward, coming out of the rubbles of loss in 2019 with dignity and humility, to be able to carry ourselves and provide the necessary leadership for this country to move forward from where it is today.
In part two, after the break, as the nation grapples with the challenge of leadership, experts proffer solutions to the crisis. Do join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the News at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. At least 11 security personnel killed in an ambush on Governor Babagana Zulum's convoy, the second of such attack on the Borno State governor's team in about 3 months. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu says Commission is ready for the conduct of Ondo governorship election, vows to make it better than the just concluded governorship poll in Ondo State. Federal government appeals to organized labor to shelve its plan for an industrial action on Monday, insists action will hurt ordinary Nigerians. And Spanish government calls for tougher coronavirus restrictions in the country of Madrid, warning of a serious risk to residents. Plus, we have business and sports. Nigeria currently suffers a huge leadership deficit as the country is in dire need of transformational leaders who will mentor and serve as role models for other future leaders. This summed up the views of some of the speakers at a Leadership Dialogue series, a webinar organized by the Nigerian Prize for Leadership, NPL. According to them, Nigeria is currently unable to achieve the kind of leaders it desires because bad leaders are in the majority.
Transformational leadership, leadership by example. These are very familiar terms that have been used to describe the kind of leadership that impacts positively on the lives of followers. These terms also featured prominently during a webinar organized by the Nigerian Prize for Leadership as the speakers share their thoughts on the leadership challenge in the country.
In terms of our society, I think we have to agree that we've suffered a leadership deficit. We've not had the requisite leadership that could, as we say in Nigeria, move the society forward. In other words, Nigeria is in critical need of a leadership that is well conscientized to the needs and aspirations of society.
This fifth dialogue series is centered around rethinking leadership, role modeling, mentoring, and prospects for raising transformational leaders for Nigeria.
Leadership is very
Some of the participants believe that the topic is apt, but highlight the obstacles to having transformational leaders in the country.
So why is the country in a cycle where, we're always going round and round and we're not really achieving much in terms of leadership? It's because the few good men who are in position have been strangulated, and sooner or later they are choked out of the system because there are just a few voices. And so things must change.
Perhaps most of the leadership that we've seen in Nigeria are transactional leadership. So what you want to see is we want to see something that has impact. What impact? Impact on the people, impact on the environment, impact that amounts to development in every respect.
Transformational leadership is arguably the desire of many Nigerians. However, in its 60 years of existence as an independent nation, only a few leaders can perhaps be described as transformational leaders. So what is the way forward?
It is in our strategic interest to deliberately groom and raise the young people to become the quality or the kind of leaders that we want.
Good leaders should employ the people, they should deploy themselves and others. They should use their authority and the power at their disposition to help people for distribution, as they say. Leadership isn't measured by how many people serve you, which brings me to the issue that is ever so lacking in this country, and that's the issue of mentoring.
At 60, Nigeria has no doubt come of age. One thing that citizens expect from its leaders is a transformational leadership style that will impact positively on the lives of everyone.
The tanker explosion, which rocked Felele, Lokoja, the Kogi State capital on Wednesday, the 23rd of September, is one incident that may hardly be forgotten by those affected. A truck which was loaded with premium motor spirit lost control and crashed on Lokoja-Abuja highway, leading to the death of 28 people. Mr. Abdullahi Salihu and Idris Yusuf are just two of those affected by the accident. The two brothers lost 6 children in the accident on the fateful day. Abdullahi Salihu once resided in Lokogoma in Lokoja, the Kogi State capital, before moving to Felele to join his cousin Idris Yusuf, who gave him a place to live with members of his family. Together, the cousins gradually achieved their dream of giving their children Western education to enable them have a better future. But their plans are cut short in the most horrific way after Wednesday's Tanka explosion that killed at least 28 people, with 6 of their children among the casualties. Abdullahi lost 4 of his children to the inferno, while Idris lost 2. It takes efforts from friends, clergymen and family members to console them. Yet Idris cannot hold back the tears as he tries to recount the event of that fateful day.
My daughter, before she late, she tried call my number for the nurse. She tried to call my number before I reach there, before she give up. Then after that, we'll go back to where people die again. They say they don't carry the boy or go this specially, and already there, he's already died.
It's too much to bear for their wives, the mothers of the 6 children. Both are in the hospital, yet to wake up from coma since the unfortunate incident.
I go their school, confirm from that. They said they are not yet coming. From there, I rushed to where the accident happened. Before I see my children, she affected, about 4 of them.
In the meantime, the Kogi State Police Command is investigating the circumstances leading to the explosion, looking for clues about the ownership of the tanker.
Police actually went into investigation immediately. All the dead were removed. We used the FRC personnel to move them to the hospitals. And then even the injured were also taken to hospitals. And I think at the end of everything, what we have for now is that 28 people died in that inferno, and then about 2 others were injured.
The wreckage of the burned vehicles are still on the scene, and until it's cleared, it will continue to haunt relatives of those who died, and a reminder to many residents that anyone could have been caught up in the unfortunate incident. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families of those that lost their loved ones in that unfortunate disaster. Let's bring you some more stories now as the organised labour appear poised to commence its planned industrial action on Monday. The federal government is appealing to the unions to suspend the action. The Minister of Information and Culture, Mr. Lai Mohammed, told journalists in Lagos today that the timing of the increase in the petroleum and power sectors was a necessary coincidence and the planned strike will only bring more hardship to ordinary Nigerians. Both parties had failed to reach an agreement on Thursday over the recent increase in petrol price and electricity tariffs in the country. The government had on Friday obtained a court order stopping the labour unions from going ahead with the strike.
The effect of the changes in the international prices of crude oil on local fuel prices will not last forever. Modular refineries are beginning to come on stream in the country, and this will help to lower the cost of petroleum products. Next month, precisely on the 26th of September, Walter Smith Modular Refinery in Ibigwe, Imo State, will be commissioned, starting with refining 5,000 barrels of crude per day and increasing rapidly to 50,000 barrels of crude in the next 2 years. Many more modular refineries are also in different stages of completion across the country, in addition to the 650,000 barrels per day Dangote refinery. The deregulation will bring more investments into the sector to the benefit of Nigerians. The truth of the matter is that due to the problems with the largely privatized electricity industry, the government has been supporting the industry. To keep the industry going, the government has so far spent almost 1.7 trillion naira, especially by way of supplementing tariff shortfalls. The government does not have the resources to continue along this path.
Meanwhile, the head of service of the Federation, Mrs. Folashade Yemieson, is asking civil servants to boycott Monday's protest and the nationwide industrial action declared by the Nigeria Labour Congress. A circular from the Office of the Head of Service, directed to all government ministries and agencies, urges all civil servants from grade level 12 and above, as well as all essential workers, to resume at their duty posts. The circular also notes that the government is still in talks with the labour movement and there is a subsisting court injunction prohibiting the workers' unions from embarking on strike. Mixed reactions have continued to trail the increase in electricity tariffs among owners of small and medium-scale enterprises in Ondo State. While some lament major setbacks in businesses following the hike, others say the increase comes with steady supply, which has allowed them save money from petrol.
According to data from the Ondo State government, small and medium enterprises constitute 99% of economic activities, making significant contributions to the state's internally generated revenue. Other success stories have been told by SME owners. Others, whose businesses are solely dependent on power, are already counting their losses because of the hike in tariff.
Please, help me out.
Atabo is a smoothie maker. Before the tariff increase, 5,000 naira energy recharge gave him 154 units, but now he gets less for the same amount.
As a business owner, you want to leverage all these expenses on your product so that you can get your profit back. Fine, the final consumer, which are your customers. And then if you increase the price of this product, they are not willing to buy. And everybody's complaining, we can't. And we, known for what we do, we can't make substandard product. And we must maintain standard. And of course, we must increase the price.
Like before.
The story is not the same for Emeka and Ede. They have enjoyed steady supply since the increase and have saved up money from petrol.
Every day, they buy fuel like 1,000, 2,000 every day. But now we like the day now. If we buy fuel like 2,000, if we day like 3 days, 4 days before we buy another fuel.
As of last 3-4 weeks ago, there are a lot of improvement in EEDC now. But the bail is too much. The bail is too much. Let them do something.
The distribution company in Enugu says the increase was done in areas where customers enjoy steady supply. They say the idea is to ensure steady supply for all and limit petrol costs.
The customers within the band A and C are the ones that had their tariff reviewed because of the service quality they are getting. They are getting minimum of 12 hours per day and above. Some are getting 23 hours, okay? And if you're getting 23 hours, you're meant to, pay more.
Electricity is one of the most important parts of modern life and development, and it's indispensable. Governments will do well to employ its workable strategy for addressing the hike and attendant power issues in the country once and for all.
When the news at 10 returns, Nigeria's local bourse pulls best weekly performance in 4 months as all-share index passes 26,000 points since March this year. That's on Business News. Please join us again. An accident that occurred in the Ekpe area of Lagos State today has left 3 persons dead after a truck plunged into a river from a bridge. According to the Director General of the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, the agency received the information about the incident involving a Volvo tipper late yesterday. He said the truck has been retrieved from the river and the bodies of 3 male adults recovered, but the cause of the accident was not disclosed. Moving to other stories, a general court-martial convened by the Nigerian Air Force to try 4 executive members of the 151 Base Services Group Multipurpose Cooperative Society in Makurdi has found all the officers guilty of misappropriating the sum of 41 million naira. In a statement, the Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Ibikunle Daramola, said the President of the General Court-Martial, Air Commodore Nazib Aliyu, pronounced the 4 officers guilty of the charges, but the Defense Counsel asked the court to show leniency, describing the accused persons as first-time offenders. According to Air Commodore Daramola, the sentences are subject to confirmation by the appropriate superior authority, while the accused personnel reserve the right to appeal the judgment if they are dissatisfied. The Rivers State government has approved the reopening of secondary schools, universities and other tertiary institutions from Monday, October the 5th, while primary schools remain closed. The state government also approved the reopening of parks, restaurants and cinemas with immediate effect, while all nightclubs, bars and some select markets are to remain closed. This was announced during a joint press briefing by some government officials in Port Harcourt, the state capital. According to the Commissioner for Education, a 7-man task force to monitor compliance with the COVID-19 protocols in schools has also been set up.
Schools in the state should reopen on the 5th of October 2020, but only the following schools, namely all secondary schools in the state, vocational schools in the state, universities, and other tertiary institutions. For avoidance of doubt, the Council, based on expert medical advice, did not approve the reopening of primary schools in the state, which would await a new date in the future. Furthermore, the Executive Council also approved the setting up of a 7-man task force to monitor and enforce compliance with COVID-19 protocols in all the schools.
To the nation's capital, where authorities have shut 2 of the 4 isolation centers that cater to coronavirus patients in the Federal Capital Territory. The centers in Karu and Asokoro General Hospitals are now closed following the reduction in the number of patients. According to the Acting Secretary, Health and Human Services of the FCT, Mr. Mohammed Kawu, the centers were not purposely built as COVID-19 treatment facilities. Only the treatment centers in Idu and This Day Dome will now hold COVID-19 patients in Abuja. The coronavirus may have hit hard on the Nigerian economy, but it has also contributed in boosting the nation's digital sector and contributed over 45% to Nigeria's gross domestic product, according to the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Pantami. Speaking at a virtual Nigeria Internet Governors Forum, Dr. Pantami explains that the new normal caused by COVID-19 contributed to the growth. He adds that the contribution of the ICT sector alone is over 17% and hopes that broadband penetration will reach at least 50% by the end of the year.
By end of July, we have achieved 42.02% of broadband penetration. In less than a year, we will be able to achieve at least 50% in our country, which is highly commendable. The broadband penetration of only 1 year now, starting from August this year to August last year, could be approximately 10%. Contrary to the previous years where broadband penetration averagely is 1.7% annually. The contribution of ICT to GDP by the end of last month was up to 17, in the second quarter, which is April, May, June, is up to 17.something%. This is only stand-alone ICT sector. And telecommunication sector grew up by more than 18% within the second quarter. Why I say ICT alone? Because there is a line of demarcation between ICT sector contribution to GDP and digital economy contribution to GDP. If it is ICT sector, it is only the stand-alone, what comes through only ICT. But if you say digital economy, it's the ICT sector plus all the digital services that are being provided in the country. When that is computed, most probably the contribution of ICT to GDP, or rather digital economy to GDP, could be more than 45%.
Let's bring you some business news now. Here's BC Adebayo.
Welcome to Business News. The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, Mele Kyari, is seeking the amendment of the Local Content Act to reflect current realities in the nation's oil and gas sector. According to Mr. Kyari in a statement today, the amendment is crucial to achieving the target of reducing the cost of oil production in Nigeria on a sustainable basis. It maintains that indigenous companies operating in the nation's oil and gas sector are key to achieving market stability if they upscale their capacity for global competitiveness, while also making a case for resolving the issue of funding faced by local industry players. Mr. Kyari adds that the nation has made some good progress from the era when there was no single indigenous operator in the oil and gas industry to the current situation where local operators have risen to double digits. The Ondo State government has released 1.6 billion naira for the payment of pensions, gratuities and death benefits to retired civil servants. A statement from the state's pension bureau today says physical verification of pensioners commenced since September the 15th in a bid to ensure that only genuine pensioners are paid from the sum in this batch. It adds that the pensioners will have to provide complete information because some beneficiaries who have undergone previous verification exercises are yet to be paid by their banks due to incorrect account numbers and bank verification numbers. The statement stresses that the verification exercise will last for 2 weeks, adding that all civil servants who have retired from the state and local governments should come to the Bureau with all relevant documents and information required. Let's head to the markets now. And the local equities markets recorded their best weekly performance in 4 months thanks to investors' interest in large caps like Nigerian breweries, MTN Nigeria and Dangote Cement, which drove the benchmark index 2.9% higher week on week. The offshore index also crossed 26,000 points for the first time since March 2020, as the stock market recorded a significant increase in activity, with total volumes and value traded surging by 46.3% and 68.9% week on week, respectively. The surge in market activity came amidst a sharp drop in fixed income yields following further monetary easing by the MPC this week, when the MPR was reduced to 11.5%. The consumer goods index topped the sectoral charts, followed by banking, industrial goods, oil and gas, and insurance indices. Analysts at Quadros Capital believe the market might continue to benefit as domestic investors seek alpha-yielding opportunities in the face of increasingly negative real returns in the fixed income markets. Meantime, listed lender Unity Bank is predicting gross profits of 4.97 billion naira and interest income of 3.35 billion naira in the fourth quarter of 2020. In a release sent to the Nigerian Stock Exchange during the week, the bank sees a pre-tax loss of 1.65 billion naira and loss after tax of 1.8 billion naira. Unity Bank expects net revenue from funds to come in at 462.14 million naira, while net operating income is seen coming in at 324.56 million naira. Away from the markets, Cote d'Ivoire President Alassane Ouattara says he does not see the possibility of ECOWAS adopting the planned new West African currency, the ECO, for at least another 3 years. Mr. Ouattara, who spoke to journalists today, says with the economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic on countries in the region, attaining the 3% deficit is even more difficult. The ECO currency adoption, which was introduced by 8 West African French-speaking countries in 2019 to phase out the CFA franc, was suspended by ECOWAS leaders on September the 8th due to the economic realities fueled by the pandemic. And that's it on Business News. It's back to Millicent.
Thank you, Bissy. In its quest to revive all moribund projects that could turn around the economy of Ondo State, Governor Seyi Makinde has handed over the pace-setter fruits manufacturing company Oko in Ogbomoso to a new investor. At a handover ceremony, Governor Makinde says this move will put to an end years of losses by fruit farmers in the area. With an investment of 350 million naira capital, the governor is confident the project will ensure economic expansion in the state.
Machinery, old bottles and other abandoned equipment are a pointer to a vision halted over a decade ago. But now, it's good news for the people of Oku, Surulere South Local Development Area in Ogbomoso, as this abandoned fruit-making factory, which was commissioned in 2007, is now being revived. A project which means more for fruit farmers in Ogbomoso and its environs, as they will now have indigenous off-takers for their fruits. Aside his commitment to reviving moribund projects in the state, this public-private initiative of the Seyi Makinde administration will have investors inject up to 350 million naira into the company.
And our administration will ensure that our people in Ondo State benefit from any abandoned or moribund project. You don't need to know the governor to tap into any opportunity that exists in Ondo State. And they've also promised us that they will get this working within 6 months.
The public-private partnership will explore the value chain to develop the economy and drive job creation.
Our intention is to produce a range of products, ranging from water products, which will include a premium water line, a vitamin water line, as well as a flavored water line. We intend to produce fruit juices for mango, pineapple, and oranges, as well as fruit cocktails.
The Pacesetter Fruits Processing Limited was established in 2007 with an agenda to cater for nutritional needs of the people through fruits production and distribution. With this initiative, the vision of a fruit production hub could materialize after all, as the factory has the capacity to provide 2,500 bottles per hour. Bukola Oriowo, Channel Television News.
Let's switch to some sports news now. Here's Kayode Alayande.
Thank you, Millicent, and welcome to Sports News. Governor Nasir El-Rufai has unveiled the maiden edition of Kaduna Half Marathon, which comes up on November the 21st. Governor El-Rufai says that the event, which will be held annually, represents a further initiative of his administration in reviving sports in the state. The governor adds that the marathon, which also will help reinforce the state's reputation as an investment hub and home of sports.
We want to give our youth a window
to have a career that is profitable, that is viable, that is sustainable. It's not only by getting degrees that you can earn a living. Sports can make you more money than 10 PhDs if you have the talent and you have the encouragement. So this is our dream. So I want you to expect more and more sporting activities in Kaduna.
And that will be all on Sports News. Many thanks for watching. Back to you, Millicent.
Thank you, Kayode. Togolese Prime Minister Komi Salam Klasso and his government have resigned. The political reshuffle had been expected after President Farouk Gnassingbé was re-elected February for a fourth term in office, but the changes were delayed by the coronavirus pandemic. In a statement, President Gnassingbé congratulated Klasso and his team for their economic, political and social efforts and the encouraging results despite the health crisis around the world. The president's election win came after a constitutional change allowing him to run. Gnassingbé has led the country of 8 million people since taking over in 2005 following the death of his father, Eyadema Gnassingbé, who ruled for 38 years. The Spanish government has urged authorities in Madrid to tighten coronavirus restrictions across the city, warning of a serious risk to residents if they do not. Madrid extended restrictions in COVID-19 hotspot on Friday, but rejected calls for a citywide lockdown. Spain and many other European countries have seen a second wave of the virus in recent weeks. Here's more on this and other developments on our COVID-19 Global Update.
Madrid is again at the epicenter of Spain's coronavirus outbreak, as it was during the first peak earlier this year. The country's health minister warns that current restrictions do not go far enough, and local authorities need to do more and impose a city-wide lockdown. In the UK, new lockdown measures are now in place for more than a quarter of the population after Prime Minister Boris Johnson imposed tougher restrictions earlier in the week amid a surge in cases, telling people to work from home if they can and ordering pubs and restaurants to close by 10 p.m.
Say no to the tyranny!
But unhappy about the new measures, thousands of protesters gathered in central London on Saturday. Displaying placards questioning the usefulness of lockdown measures, protesters flouted government guidelines on social distancing. The protest was later shut down by the police. In other developments, while delivering a recorded speech to the United Nations General Assembly, Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced the UK will give £500 million to a new global vaccine sharing scheme.
It is precisely because we know that no one is safe until everyone is safe that I can announce that the UK will contribute up to £571 million to COVAX, a new initiative designed to distribute a COVID vaccine across the world. Of this sum, £500 million will be for developing countries to protect themselves.
Measures that are in place for the meeting.
Also addressing the UNGA, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi assured the global community that as the largest vaccine-producing country of the world, India's vaccine production and delivery capacity would serve the world in fighting the coronavirus pandemic. India has reported 5.9 million coronavirus infections. Only the United States has reported more, with more than 7 million cases.
And a week after the death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, President Trump has nominated Amy Coney Barrett to succeed her on the Supreme Court. The announcement comes despite Democrats' anger and accusations of hypocrisy over Republicans' decision to press ahead with a Supreme Court nomination during an election year after they blocked Democrat President Barack Obama's nominee for the same reason in 2016. With Judge Barrett's confirmation, conservative-leaning justices now hold a 6-3 majority on America's highest court for the foreseeable future. The 48-year-old is also the third justice appointed by Republican President Donald Trump. And the main news again. At least 11 security personnel were today killed in an ambush on Governor Babagana Zulum's convoy. It was the second of such attack on the Borno State governor's team in about 3 months. Also today, INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu said the commission was ready for the conduct of Ondo governorship election as he vowed to make it better than the just concluded governorship poll in Ondo State. Plus, you heard the Spanish government today calling for tougher coronavirus restrictions in the city of Madrid, warned of a serious risk to residents. And that's news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Walker. Have a good night.